Hey, what is up? It's the Fit Gear Hunter, and today we have the full and final review for the Garmin Enduro 2, and I get into the details for why I say that this is the only true ultra watch on the market today. So we're going to do a couple different things. Part one is going to be focused on the review, the ins and outs of all the features and details of the Enduro 2. And part two is just going to give you my thoughts on the new Apple Watch Ultra that's been announced and in a comparison from a sports and training perspective to the Enduro 2 and why I think the Enduro 2 is far superior. So if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Please consider subscribing for more. Okay, so with part one and looking at the Enduro 2 in detail, we're going to look at it in the hands-on just to get a face-to-face look at it. We're going to look at the simple list of smartwatch features, and then we're going to dive into the wellness front, both the old items on the wellness front and the new items that are releasing with the Enduro 2 and a few of the other Garmin watches at the same time, as well as the training features, both the old items and the training features, and how some of the training features have been advanced, developed, and added to. So with that, let's dive into the hands-on. All right, so here's the watch. Obviously, we're all sort of fully aware of the strap that came with the Enduro 1. The Enduro 2 also comes with a rubber strap, which we'll change it over just for the sake of the video in a second. When you look at the Enduro 2, you see it's 51 millimeters across. It's like 16.5 millimeters thick, so pretty healthy thick. It's 64 grams when you just weigh the watch itself, and with the strap adds in a little bit. One of the biggest new features is the touch screen. So the touch screen is fully capable and fully adjustable. You can turn it off, you can turn it on, you can turn it on for certain activities. It has a titanium bezel and a titanium back, plus it has the Elevate 4.0 heart rate sensor as well as the pulse ox sensor. I do love that it has this neon green accent on the edges, and then they've changed sort of the neon green touch points around the edge and makes it look like a Lumix watch. It's rated at 34 to 46 days depending on the amount of battery of solar power you get. I personally am turning up the backlight considerably, and I'm getting about 21 days. So about 3 full weeks with the backlight set to near maximum. So I feel like that's great, plus I don't get a lot of sun. Another crazy thing is that Garmin has developed a glass that absorbs solar exposure, but also has sapphire conditions to it. So this is sapphire solar now, which is a big development. And then other really big development when it comes to the design is the flashlight itself, 2 times brighter than the flashlight on the 7X. But it's functionally super useful and comes in handy in a lot of situations. Let's look at how it looks on my wrist. This is how it looks on my 177 millimeter wrist and how the band looks. It feels flush, it doesn't feel heavy. I don't get it moving around much because the nylon band or the Velcro band holds it, and I don't feel like it's pushing on that. The band is just sort of thicker and more solid. And this is how it looks on my 177 millimeter wrist with the thicker band. I do like the rubber. The rubber feels both thick and stretchy, so it's comfortable. It's not rigid, and it's not. Now looking at the hands-on, it's a bigger watch, and the question always comes up is it gonna feel considerably big on the wrist? And I've been wearing mine for about 3 or 4 weeks, and I actually don't have any problems with it. It doesn't feel too heavy. The nylon band or the Velcro band that comes with it makes it feel considerably light. It makes it feel not like overly intrusive on my wrist, or it helps it to not hit the wrist bone itself. If I switch because I just want like the overall size of the regular rubber band, then it might feel a little bit bigger, but I kind of like that look, and you can switch it up because of the 2 bands that come with it. So overall, I'm loving the flashlight, love the lightness in the feeling because of the titanium, and love the solar, love all the capabilities that come with it. So let's look at the smartwatch features just in simple form. Okay, so what's old, what's new on the basic smartwatch features? So you have weather, which I like the redesigned layout. I most enjoy this page because I feel like it's summary, and if you can realize, what the UV index is. You have the sunset, sunrise, which is just sort of simple. You can see future days as well. You obviously have the compass, which has altimeter and barometer built into it. You have your good old fashion notifications, which shows you everything from any type of notification you get on your watch. Big addition is the addition of Spotify, so you can obviously download, and it's got 32 gigabytes, so it's got a huge volume. It's got a bigger storage where you can download more playlists if you so. You also have solar intensity. Obviously, I did not go out today, but you can see solar averages and how much exposure you're getting. And then an oddball new one, which I personally love, is stocks. You can see what the stock market's doing, as well as you can add a stock of your personal choosing just to be able to track it on your. Now, looking at the smartwatch features, I probably use the weather app or the weather widget every single day. I obviously am dependent on looking at notifications, and I have no need to reply to a notification on my wrist, so I have no problem just seeing what's happening in the notifications on the wrist, but then replying and acting on those notifications on the phone if I so choose. And very periodically, I'll just go out on a brief run and use the music on the watch itself without having to take my phone, so that I can just listen to music, but not take anything else alongside me. So let's look at the wellness features, both the old ones and the new ones, and then talk about it. Okay, so now getting into the wellness side, you have a baseline pulse ox, which tracks your overall oxygen level of what you're taking in as you sleep. It's got a new sensor on the back, so that's helping it become more accurate. You have the stress score. So this is an evaluation, it's an extraction of heart rate variability throughout the entire day and convert it into a number to tell you if you are taking on higher level stress in one day or how you are also regenerating through your night's sleep. And that all leads to body battery. Body battery being one of the most physiological, worthwhile metrics, as it converts your heart rate variability to stress, and then stress converts to an impact to your overall resources, overall reserves to approach the rest of the day, and an idea of how you recovered as you slept. Now, this is a snapshot, so you can see a snapshot of multiple different physiological metrics, but this is also how you can get an HRV snapshot and your SpO2 snapshot all in one. And it's just called a health snapshot. It also saves sort of like a workout. And then sleep. This sleep score introduced later on the Phoenix 6 and 945, but you get a score, you get the total time, you get your stages, you get your laid out stages, and if you go into the app, you can see the metrics that the score is based on. I think it's 6 or 8 different physiological metrics that culminate to give you a score, as well as you can see your score trends over time. So you can get an idea of not just your sleep, but how it's sort of looking over the course. And then we have the big one, the big addition, the HRV, heart rate variability measure. So you can see your last night. So again, you know, battling COVID. So, hey, 23 is not bad. It did at least peak towards the later part. I love that I can see the whole graph. And then you can see your average. As COVID has come on, here it is, the decline, as it's been affecting me. And then that decline causing the direction, you know, the advice and the guidance, which is this sort of unbalanced, saying that something's off, I'm not healthy. So, unbalanced metric. And those are the aspects that make up wellness. Now, with the wellness features, I have said it before many times, and we'll say it again. I think the body battery feature is the single most valuable physiological metric on any watch on the market today, because it does stem from heart rate variability. It converts it to a stress score and then converts it from there into an actionable or insightful awareness to what's happening to your body. I also have really loved how they've advanced the sleep score, how they based it on multiple different dynamics to give you a score which is actionable. So it's not just stages, it's actually actionable information that you can have awareness for how your sleep sort of culminated together, not just bits and pieces of details. And then the HRV, I think, is fantastic. I think the fact that you can see a graph, that you actually get your data versus what you might get with Whoop, which is just a singular number. I like that you can see your graph throughout the night, because I feel like that helps you to have further awareness, but also you can see that they're summarizing your HRV over the course of multiple days and telling you if you're trending in the right direction, if you're balanced or unbalanced, but you can see your trends yourself over the course of a 7-day plot line. So let's look at the training metrics, old and then new, and then talk about it. Now, when it comes to training features that are new, mapping's probably the biggest one. And the fact that you have a touch screen on here, it's disabled because it's disabled on the profile itself. You obviously can zoom in and out with your finger instead of having to use a button layout. It is very specific. It has waypoints. It can tell you where your Starbucks is nearby. So it gives you full and functional in-depth true mapping, which is a big feature add. Next, we have just the workout analysis and how it's, you know, evolved over time. Here you can see your heart rate over time, your average and your max, and then you get your heart rate zones, how much time you spent in each zone, so you can see the zone training if you have a desire to do so. But the biggest thing is the training effect. So this evaluation of your workout based on training effect, your aerobic, anaerobic impact, so how much you're growing your aerobic intensity and anaerobic capabilities, as well as your load score, which is just an evaluation of how much exertion you put into that workout. Then you have your overall run estimator. I'm not a runner, but this is what my run score is VO2 max of 47. This flows into my overall health and fitness evaluations. And you can also get race predictions, which are not accurate for me. One of the bigger ones that's been added is not just the training status, because that's been around for a while, but this new advanced training status, which is based on multiple different functional pieces. Here's the summary: your VO2 max trend, your heart rate variability, and your load. So these are the things that, so like how damaged you are from the workouts, your overall capability to push your heart, and how much load you've been under culminate together. But it's also visibly seen in different pieces, so you can see it in the different aspects that it takes into account to give you your overall training status. And the other really big one is training readiness. Training readiness, every time you wake up, gives you a score of your ability or readiness to approach hard workouts that day. And it's based on 2 overnight factors: sleep and recovery time. So did you do a lot of workouts recently, and did you sleep terribly? I slept poorly, obviously. And then it's based on 7-day trends in heart rate variability, your overall load, how much heart rigor you've been putting on your body, your sleep history, and your stress history to determine, what your overall score and readiness for approach. I think this does need some tweaking, but I feel like it's on the right path because it's based on multiple different layers of physiological development. And probably the last thing, which is a feature specific to this, the Enduro 2, is you have grade adjusted pace, and you actually have next fork and up ahead. So it'll tell you, if you've programmed in your map, your path, it'll tell you, like as you get closer, it'll tell you, you need to take this turn, which helps when you're on multiple trails that are crossing over one another, as well as up ahead. If there's a waypoint, if there's a Starbucks, if there's a rest station, it'll actually program that in. On the training metric side, I continue just to love the fact that they give you a score for your aerobic impact and your anaerobic impact, plus the exertion score overall for the workout, and that flows into the training status or training load over time. And from the new training status, it's based on 6 metrics, and so or 5 metrics, and so you can see a multiple of different physiological components that evaluate your point in time for your training. And then obviously I have found that the training readiness to be very useful because it's based on short-term trends, 2 short-term trends and 4 long-term. I feel like that is so helpful, and as they improve, it's going to continue to be a very useful and functional aspect for taking into training with each new day. So what do I think of the Enduro 2? I believe it is the end-all be-all true ultra watch on the market today. It has taken the benefits of the 7X, the Fenix 7X, and enhanced them, adding extended battery life, adding a brighter flashlight, and not taking away any other features or benefits. I think that it is phenomenal how Garmin is culminating so many things. So to me, I get all the usefulness I might want out of a smartwatch, but all of the in-depth training effects, all of the in-depth training aspects and wellness aspects, and they enhance that with the HRV, and that's available on multiple Garmin watches. It's just all that's available on the Enduro 2, plus extra battery life, plus an extra band, plus a brighter flashlight, and I think the flashlight is actually functionally awesome. I think that's a genius design. I think that the fact that they have a solar-powered sapphire glass lens is crazy and is leading the way for what it is capable from watches in the future. I think that the 40-day battery life, I didn't get that battery life, but I think at the same time, had I wanted to turn down the backlight to the out-of-the-box setting, that would have been fine, but the fact that I can jack up the backlight however I wanted to. So all of these things mean that this is the king of the kings, in my opinion. This is the cream of the crop. The fact that they've added mapping and music back to the Enduro, which was to me a big loss if you were looking at the Enduro, but you haven't lost any of the other features and benefits, is the single reason why the Garmin Enduro 2 is both the ultra watch on the market today, as well as my daily driver. So I feel like it wins out because it just has every feature and benefit you could ever want in a watch, and it isn't cumbersome, and I don't feel like it is too big after wearing it for a longer period of time. So that's my summary for that. And so now let's get into the Apple Watch Ultra announcement and talk about how it compares to the Garmin platform. Now the Ultra, I do believe, looks like a cool watch, but here are the basic specs. You've got a new button on the side. You've got more microphones and a speaker. You've got a titanium body and a flat sapphire glass. You've got new band options, which kind of look cool and kind of look bulky or look a little bit odd. The increase of just 10 hours from like 20 base hours to 30 hours, and now some capability that will be coming out but has not been released about how you could extend the battery life more. It's now got sleep stages, which prove to be accurate but don't have any analysis to them. It's got still the best heart rate sensor on the market, but no analysis to the workouts. So there's that. It's got temperature tracking added in. It's got auto transition for triathletes, with other watches have had. It's got dive software now, dive capabilities to link with the dive software platform, which is neat, but functionally just affects, like 1% or 0.1% of the population. It does have a considerably bright backlight at 2000 nit and is also now offering the dual band GPS. So when you think about all of these things, on paper it looks like a cool watch, but let's think about what it offers when you compare the value from a training perspective. So a smartwatch can't compete because it's like a little computer on your wrist. But let's talk about how I really view the Apple Watch in baseline platform. I view from a training and sports watch platform. The Apple Watch, I really feel like as if somebody gave you a super high-powered Windows computer with only the Windows operating system on it, but then was hiring you to do a job. And without, you're hired to take care of functions and tasks, and you don't have Microsoft Office. It doesn't exist. And instead, you don't even have a provider of something like Office. You actually have to research and hunt down each specific facet of what Microsoft Office might do, whether it's an Excel sheet, whether it's Word and editing a document, whether it's a PowerPoint presentation, all the different spectrums, the email from Outlook, all those things you had to research, and there was no big provider of any one subset of those functional programs. There's only a bunch of smaller third-party software developers that are developing one little piece of what you might need for your daily life or for your job. And none of those third-party softwares really functionally work cohesively all together. That is what the Apple Watch is. It is a powerful computer on your wrist with no culminating, also powerful software package from a sports and training perspective to give you all the data and even directionable data when it comes to wellness and sports training that you would need for a true training program. It is a Windows computer with a fast processor and no of the daily applications you would need to do your job in regular life. And that is the fundamental problem, and also the fact that you're relying on smaller third-party developers to develop their own approach to how they're going to take some of the information from the powerful computer and make it make sense from a sports training or wellness perspective. But then there's the Garmin Enduro 2. And with the Garmin Enduro 2, the Fenix 7 series and the Garmin 955, slightly on the Instinct 2 and slightly on the Garmin 255. From a baseline, you look at those other watches, you're talking multiple weeks of battery life. Obviously, you're talking a difference in some of the screen functionality, and you have to go to the Epics if you want an AMOLED screen, which would be similar to an Apple Watch. But then you're talking 6 to 16 days, not a day and a half. A day and a half. You're talking, 4 times that. And then you have from a baseline, all of these watches having training load analysis, having insertion scores on multiple levels for each of your workout, the training effect and the training load, as well as recovery time that's based on multiple wellness as well as the exertion of the workout. Your body beta, your HRV, your sleep score, so not just the stages, but giving you actionable score to have awareness of your overall health. And then the training readiness that now they're developing. All these things, all in one package, all with one watch. You don't have to search for, look for, and wonder what is out there. And then on top of it, think of the specificity that they provide certain training profiles or certain training regimens. The running being the most significant. If you're a runner, you can get an ultra watch setting, which has automatic transitions, has next fork, has up ahead. You can also, if you're just a basic runner, you can get a specific VO2 max for trail running. You get grade adjusted pace. You get a race predictor for what your times and how they're improving. You get Climb Pro, Pace Pro, heat and altitude acclimation estimates for whether you're ready to hit the next race, and suggested workouts for how you can grow your platform or grow your strength. If you're a skier, you get full ski maps. You can get not just the maps, but you get an analysis for every time you go up the chairlift and every time you go down, an analysis of how your skiing is going. If you're a golfer, you can get detailed golf maps with detailed guidance, distance from, from where you are to the pin, and how to approach actually playing the field. If you're a specialty sports person, you have specialty profiles, specific stats. And so like a lot of watches offer many different sports profiles, but it's always the same thing: calories burned, heart rate, the basics. But Garmin doesn't do that. They elaborate. So you have indoor climbing, you have bouldering, those give you specific stats for those things. You have mountain biking, which gives you like different dynamics of how your mountain biking ride went. You have surfing dynamics, talking about how you rode the wave. Paddleboarding, which shows you your stroke rate. You can connect it to an indoor rower to get your specific stats off the indoor rower on your watch. High intensity interval training, different intervals, yoga and Pilates, strength training, which shows you a heat map, and you can even see diagrams or actions on the watch of how to do certain movements, both on the yoga, Pilates, as well as the weightlifting. And then hunting and fishing, and you could buy advanced watches that do far more things, but specific things when it comes to hunting and fishing. And then on top of it all, not only do you have Bluetooth connectivity to outside things, but you have an ANT Plus connectivity, which allows the watch to connect to multiple different programs and gears. And that sort of takes Garmin, the Apple Watch Ultra off the market when it comes to true cyclists. So that is why the only Ultra on the market today isn't an Apple Watch, it's a Garmin. With that, that's the Figure Hunter. Thanks so much for watching.